So I just turned my computer on to do my analysis this morning. Looking at all the stock market, looking at all the indices. So I just thought instead of just doing it and doing the recording, I'm just going to do the recording while I'm actually doing it as well too. Save me time and show you guys some of the techniques that I use, and analysis that I use, looking behind the scenes and what I'm doing there. So anyway, guys, let's get straight into it. Do not place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video today, because trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There are so many areas you need to become good at to become a good trader. Emotional mastery, chart reading, trading systems, money and trade management. So this video is just educational only to help you become a much better trader. Alright, so as I said before, you know, this video may be a bit longer, but it's going to be me basically walking through my analysis and what I look at and what I do to gauge what I'm seeing on what's happening in the markets. So firstly, what I like to do is I like to take everything off the screen and see what's really going on with the overall market, with the overall peaks and troughs and so on and so forth. So I can actually see that we had this peak, trough, we had this high trough, we've got this peak up here, we've got this peak up here, we've got this trough here, we've got this trough here as well too. So obviously a nothing movement through this here, bit of a sideways channel formation from there to there and from there to there as well too. So pretty much a nothing movement for there. Obviously, now if I take everything off the screen, and this is what I like to do, I like to go say 6 months worth of data, and I'm just gonna look at my cursors and see what happened. You can see we had this nice reversal bar here on Thursday, and then the market popped up out of that reversal bar there, but still, you know, having good support around the 18,300 and obviously a major resistance. So wherever this breaks out of, obviously I'm not sure about that, but wherever this breaks out of, it'd be really interesting to see basically which way it happens. So we can see that through there. Pretty much, let me squeeze this chart right up. So again, guys, what I like to do is I like to look at all different types of angles. So one angle is obviously close by. Next angle is obviously looking at, you know, and I don't have any trend lines on right now. This is just a cursor here, as you can see, and I just got a blank chart with no indicators, because the chart is telling you the truth, you know. And if you look at the trend lines, the support and resistance lines and stuff like that, you start to get a good sort of you know, movement, or good sort of direction there. One thing I am noticing, you can see that through there, lots and lots of support through there, but then also we have a pretty decent sort of like a support and resistance line coming up through here somewhere. So if I bring on my trend lines here now, this is the daily trend lines I'm looking at here on the Dow Jones. Looking at the Dow Jones, you can see here that the Dow Jones actually ran straight to my projected target. I actually when it broke out of this this sort of sideways pattern here, I had this line here. I said it's likely to get to the top there, and it's interesting. It ran straight to that top, and now it's actually made a double top, and not really much going on. This blue line here, guys, this blue line is obviously last year's high, and that's where it's finding a lot of support through there. Got a lot of support through there as well too. Lots and lots of support going on through there. So again, pretty much nothing through there. Looking at, let's go have a look at the weekly chart, and let's bring up the weekly chart trend lines. And this is what I see on the weekly chart overall. Now, the first thing I must say is that, let me bring up a monthly chart here. I did notice that looking at this monthly chart is, you can see if I take this high here, where is that? Let's just do that through there. So if you take that high up through there, and you take that sort of angle, you can see what's basically been happening. Where you can see you've had a lot of support and resistance through here too. So, you know, it's not really a megaphone. I know some people have been calling it a megaphone and stuff like that, but it's not really a megaphone. You know, you probably could bring it down a little bit more, but you can see that whole trend line there. If I just bring up, let me bring up, say, just this one here, and I draw this trend line, you can see that if you have a look at this monthly chart overall, and I'm just doing this so you guys can see, you can see on this monthly chart here, and this is the reason why this trend line here for me is really, really important. And I didn't notice this until after, obviously, we got up through here. But looking at this here, we can see we actually sort of could not close below there, had a resistance here, and you can see all the resistance and support all through there. Held it, held it, held it, and it held it, held it, held it through there, and even held it through there as well too. Like, it could not close below. It actually came up and closed there. It closed there. That bar closed up there, closed there, and closed there. So this trend line for me, guys, is definitely a trend line that I like to keep an eye on the monthly chart as well too. So that's that trend line there that I was saying before. So if I bring up all my trend lines, you can see that's the reason why I've got this trend line here, because you can see that if it breaks that trend line overall, then yeah, I think we could be in quite big doo-doo. You know, I'm not sure if there's going to be something up through there or not. I'm probably making that up, but so yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. Looking at now, let's bring up, so this is the weekly, this is looking at the monthly chart still. Let's go to the weekly chart here. Now the weekly chart, I've got a couple of different trend lines here that are key for me. One is we've got this overall sort of a upsloping channel. So we've got this sort of upsloping channel through here, and I just took that exact same trend line and I just connected all that peaks through there, and you can see how this market's been rejecting off through there and rejected off through there a lot of times. Did it through there as well too. Did it through there. Now it's finding a support. So lots and lots of support or resistance around there. And obviously when I connect at the exact same angle, you can see we actually hit the resistance once, hit the resistance twice, hit the resistance 3 times. So that angle there is also quite a relevant angle. Now, what I mean by angle, guys, is if I create this parallel trend line, you can see this is the exact same angle. All I did is I've just brought it up through there, and I've just brought it up through there, as you can see. So it's the exact same angle from going down through there, and you can see what's that going on through there. Now, guys, looking at the markets right now, guys, if you are drawing a trend line and you want to make sure that it's relevant and it's evident, you're not just making the trend line up. The more touches, the better with that trend line. So you can see this went once, twice, 3 touches. So if we do hold here, now we're looking at the weekly chart here. If we do hold here and rally up, that's where I believe we could get up to the 19,000, 19,200. If we do hold here and then rally up, if we break down below the 18,000 level, then you know this is, then I think it's game on for the downside. So, so looking at that there, guys, you can see that that's going on through there. Another thing that I also do have on this chart here as well. I'm trying to actually bring it. How can I? Oh, there we go there. So you've got this sort of channel as well too. So this channel is obviously an evident and a relevant one right now. And as you can see, it's been hovering between that sort of support through there, and you got this sort of level through here, this level through here, and now it's just coming up through there. So this is a big overall trend line. So this is where, like over here, 19,000, 19,000 and a half, if they do start to push it back up, that's where I have a target up around here somewhere. If they do start to push it up above, if we start to break up above that double top that we're experiencing right now, then that's what I see happening and forming on the chart itself. So you can see, guys, when I make my analysis, you can see all this is derived from the chart itself. It's not from the indicators. Now the indicators can be telling me something, but the chart itself is the most important thing out there to analyze. That's where the truth is at. It's on the chart itself. So you can see this market through here is indeed at a lot of support levels through there. And you can see, guys, if you look at this trend line through here, you can see that whole trend line through there is indeed a massive area of support. You can see how it bounces off through there. Got a lot of bounces off through there. Remember, guys, this is a weekly chart, by the way. Weekly bounce, a weekly bounce once, a weekly bounce. So that trend line there is definitely relevant and it's evident to the market, and because it's definitely supporting that. Now, if you get a trend line, guys, if you get a trend line and the market starts doing this up and up and up and up, that's not relevant, right? That's not evident because it's not respecting it. You use these trend lines to give you guidance of where those areas of support and resistance are. And that's the reason why you can see the way that I draw my trend lines. So for me, guys, we definitely got a higher close. But for me, it's like, is this coming week going to be a week where we actually break out and give us a direction? See, if we go back to the daily chart, are we going to start getting a bit of direction from here? We're going to start to get a bit of direction moving up. So that's basically the question I'm asking myself. So that's what I see overall, guys, on there. Let me go have a look at the line chart now on the Dow Jones. And guys, what I'm doing here right now, this is the way that I do my analysis on all my indices, because I'm trying to keep an eye on everything. The line on the daily chart's not really giving me any clue. The only clue that I am getting from the line chart, and one thing I am noticing, is you see you have this trough through here, you have this trough through here, and you can see we have a trough, we have a higher trough, we have a peak, and we have a higher peak. The only thing that is showing me, we have more buyers than sellers where we are right now, because we're still pushing that slight little higher trough. Now, if we break, that's that word if, yeah, because I'm just saying, like, we don't know what's going to happen. But if we break up through here and maybe a little rejection off and then break up, then what we're going to have is we're going to have like a bit of a triangle pattern, and then then obviously an explosion to the upside, I think, or maybe not an explosion, but a move to the upside, I see happening through there. So that's what I see there on the line chart. Again, that's all I'm seeing through there. Let me go to the weekly chart. Let me see if I can notice anything on actually the weekly line chart as well too. And I can see that there's not really much showing on the line chart itself as well too. So let's actually do that. Now let's actually go to, so that, again, not really, the line chart's not showing me much. If I go bring up my actual chart itself with the indicators. Now go back to the daily chart, and I want to just have a squeeze and have a look to see what's going on through here. And now as you can see, guys, right, what I'm doing is I'm building a picture on what the market's telling me right now. So now I've got my analysis. I can say, okay, we have more buyers than sellers, because we've got that slight higher peak and that slight higher trough, and the peaks and troughs are still pushing higher. That for me, guys, is showing me, okay, we have more buyers than bullies, more buyers than sellers in this current market where we are right now. So now I'm going to look at the actual indicators, and I can see that we have a stochastic down here pointing up, where again we had this slight little higher trough, and so that tells me that we may be getting a move to the upside. We just don't know. We need to see that break first. And that's why I say we may. The only reason why I say we may is because if we have a look at this, it actually could roll over and start to come back down through here as well too, and create. And this little run up here could be the first low peak before it rolls over. So we just gotta see what's going on, what actually happens through there. So volume sort of tapered off a lot, didn't it? Just pretty much below average for quite some time, and yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? It's really interesting to see what's happening on the Dow Jones. Now, guys, one thing I do want to say is this. You know, back here on this day here was Brexit Day, right there. That was Brexit Day, and I remember the Fed was coming out in the markets, and they were saying that they're actually looking at everything's looking good right now. There's nothing wrong with the markets. Looks like we're going to be raising rates. Okay? And then what happened? Bam. Something came out in the markets that caused them to say, you know what? Because of Brexit, we can't raise rates. Well, here we are now, moving forward another couple of months, 3 months later. And now, guess what they were saying? Before Friday's jobs report, they were saying, oh, well, you know what? Everything looks pretty good now. Looks like that everything we're on track. Looks like we can raise rates. Looks like it has a high possibility. or has a possibility. Yeah, everyone, and they were talking like they're going to start to raise rates. And then I looked at that last week. I think, hang on a minute. And I actually did a video about this last week. If you guys watched my videos last week, I did a video saying, is history repeating itself? And I think that's actually what I call the video, is history repeating itself. And I talked about how, that just before they raise rates, everything's looking good, and hot diggity damn Peter Pan, something came out in the markets to stop us from raising rates. And what do you know? We had a really, really bad jobs number. Now, the market didn't even sell off. Silver and gold went up, but the markets didn't sell off, which is quite interesting. If we get a good number, we spike. We get a bad number, it just goes sideways. So you can see what's going on through there, guys. You can see that there's a pattern that all these numbers, even these numbers are being manipulated as well too. That the Fed is playing these numbers, and planting them at the right time to stop them from obviously raising rates. You can just see it, right? You can just see what's happening here. How can we have a pretty good jobs number last time, but this time now it's not a good jobs number, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's just right before we actually want to raise rates. Oh my goodness, I can't raise rates now because of the jobs number, and the market's a bit shaky. So that's basically what I see through there, guys, and that's basically what I see with the overall markets and the Dow Jones. It's really, really, really interesting to see what's actually going on through there and what's actually happening. Just a quick look around the markets, guys. S&P, very, very similar thing with the S&P. Getting more buyers than sellers. Overall, it looks like that we may, due to the fact we went sideways, we've got a little curl up. It tells me that we may be getting ready for a move to the high side. Russell has just continued to step up and continued to run in this overall sort of triangle pattern through here. Really, really, really interesting to see what's happening here with the Russell, guys. That's that sort of channel that's in right now. Really, really, really interesting to see what's going on through there. Again, just Russell's just continuing to push higher. No real true rating on the Russell, apart from it's just continuing to move higher. But if you go down to now the Nasdaq has just gone sideways. But if we go to the daily chart, again, this was my projected line. This is the top. This is where I thought it was going to get to, and actually got to there. That's where it's been having a lot of problems. We were bouncing off through this trend line through here, bouncing off, and broke through and hit resistance. Now it's pretty much just going sideways. So pretty much obviously a nothing day on the Nasdaq as well too. But you're seeing overall that there's these patterns that are forming. Let me go and have a look at the line chart for all of these here. So. Line chart for the Russell, not really much going on there, and line chart for the S&P, again, nothing going on through there as well too. So pretty much nothing through there, guys. Let's look at the transportation average as well, just quickly here. Transportation average is trying to break up and out. It's really, really interesting to see what's going on through there. If I bring up my weekly chart and bring up my weekly trend lines, you can see what's going on where we are right now. It looks like we're actually trying to break up and out. We're trying to create a bit of a basing pattern here, and we're holding here. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we did break up and out of this. We had this sort of breakdown, break back up, came back higher peak, and this is where, guys, looking at the tranny, you can see we had this peak, we had this trough, we had this lower peak, we had this lower trough, we had this higher peak. Now we're forming this higher trough. So, guys, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a move up and out and breaking out. Now, how far we don't know, but this whole scenario is building a more of a bullish scenario than bearish. Now, it could hold here and break back down. If that happens, then it turns straight back to bearish. So, but right now, looking on that weekly chart, guys, it actually doesn't look bearish at all. This is the daily chart, sort of the same thing as well too, trying to break up and out. So really interesting time, guys. Really, really, really interesting times. Everything that I'm seeing on this chart, guys, is bullish. There's nothing bearish about these charts. Even though we've been pretty extended, we've had a pretty good run. and we've had a lot of people out there that are trying to still trying to say the market's going to crash. I stopped saying it's going to crash months ago because you know, it obviously is not, obviously nothing's happening yet in the markets. Whether something happens in September, October, this is the time. September, October, guys, is the time where something big happens in the markets. If something's going to happen, it's generally around the September, October mark in the year. So really, really interesting, guys, to see what's happening on the charts. I hope you've enjoyed this. Obviously, guys, I do a lot more analysis. So the way that I did my analysis on the Dow Jones is I go through and I do all my analysis like that on every single indices, but I just quickly flip through them because this video is getting quite long. Let's have a quick look at the VIX. The VIX had a pretty big. Let's have a look at the VIX here. There we go, VIX. So VIX had a sort of a $1.50 drop. It was about the $14, $15 mark, getting very, very close to that. It did touch basically $15 mark. Had a bit of a pullback, but as you can see, we're getting this tight sort of sideways channel through here. And I still, again, I'm actually in the VIX right now myself. Have been for the last couple of months. So yeah, I'm just waiting out, and I do see that this VIX is likely to turn around and spike back up, and you know, give us a nice 18 to 20 on the actual VIX itself too. But still holding and hovering around this market through here. And one thing I have noticed, guys, and check this out. If you go back to last year, we had a rundown into March into end of June, we went sideways. June and July, we had a spike. Then we came down, and we went sideways for quite some time before a big spike. All right, now look what happened here. We ran down into sort of February into March. This is sort of March around here. Not exactly. But then we went sideways into June. June into July, we had a spike. Then the market came back down, and now we've just gone sideways again. So it looks very, very, as you can see, right, it looks very, very, very similar to obviously what. Look, this bit here looks very, very similar to what happened last August. Market went sideways, and then bam, out of nowhere, something happened. Do we get the bam out of nowhere, something happened? Well, that's obviously yet to be seen, but it does surely look like that. Is this a calm before the storm, or are we just going to keep pushing higher? I do believe something's going to happen out of the September, October, but that is just my opinion. That means absolutely nothing. So anyway, guys, that's it for me. Have a great day. Remember, success can be yours if you go claim it. So step up, take massive action, and face your fears today. I'm not going to BS you here. Trading is hard. Over my 10 years of trading, I've learned some amazing systems and strategies, and I've put it all in my brand new Grab the Markets by the Balls course, and I'm giving you 100% free access. This whole course is 12 videos long and almost 10 hours of the best systems and strategies that I know. Click on the image below now to get 100% free access right now.